Since I started doing car videos, I've been asked over and over again how to do certain driving techniques. And we just did a video at Bondurant Racing School and talked with pros that have taught race car drivers, normal people, celebrities, you name it. And getting that insight, along with all the other education I've had, I can try to help you on a video if you don't have the money to seek out professional instructors, which most of us don't have. So consider these videos maybe a starting point or a supplement. It's not a replacement for professional instruction, but each video will cover a different topic. This one being heel to toe downshifting. On a manual transmission, it's the concept of matching the transmission speed and the engine speed to make a smoother downshift. And I have some ways that I teach people to do it to try to get from the ground up to where you can competently do it and safely. So let's get started. Now, the first thing that you want to do is you want to get whatever car you have, typically the car that you drive every day. If it's a manual transmission car, get into it, know how to drive it first, and then work on this. So what you're going to do, make sure your car's warmed up. And I know most cars don't have real temperature gauges, but I would just say 15 to 20 minutes, and if it's colder, just make sure you're not doing this cold. So, start her up. So I have this question a lot. What's the best way to learn how to heel and toe without going out on the road and turning it into, an experiment around other drivers? So this is the method that I kind of tell people to do, and it's pretty simple. You get in a place, not your garage, an open space where you're not going to annoy neighbors or your business, whatever. Park it, get comfortable, make sure it's quiet, and what you want to do is put your foot on the brake pedal, just get comfortable. And what you want to do is kind of hold even brake pressure on the brake pedal, and then the top of your foot goes towards the top of the brake pedal, and you move your heel or the side of your foot over to the throttle. And what you want to do is keep that same brake pressure the whole time. Try not to let off or push down anymore, and then blip the throttle at the same time. So like this. Now clearly, every time I did that, the revs on the rev counter here is a little bit different. So the point of doing this is to get used to how it feels and how your foot feels making that motion. Now I'm going to tell you, every foot size, everybody has a different foot size. Everybody has different shoes. Every pedal box or the pedal layout from each manufacturer is much different. So you may be able to do it well on one car, but another car you may struggle with. So what I found on this Atom, this specific car, I realized I couldn't heel to toe downshift or heel to toe at all on here, and I had to switch shoes, and that made a world of difference. So like right now I'm using these Adidas Ultra Boost. It's got a much wider outer edge, so I can clip the outer edge of the accelerator much easier. So now what's the point of this? Well, what you want to do, what you want to target is, you want to be able to hit the same revolutions every single time on this rev counter. So you want to start off small, you want to start off lower, 1500 RPM, and you want to hit it every time. It's really hard to do it at the lower RPM on most cars. So if you're having a hard time doing it at 1500, start at 2000 or 2500 and just keep that process up. Start at 2500. So what you're going to hear is the same tone every time, and what really helps me is to think of it like a musical instrument. You want the same tone, the same pace, the same rhythm, and it makes it much easier to recreate that same pressure and the same revolutions every time. Once you're comfortable doing that with the brake pedal and the gas at 2500, you want to try different targets. So let's try 3000. You can do that consistently. You can feel the vibration, you can hear the motor, you can see it on the tachometer if you have one. It makes it much easier to build up and come back down. I would say after you do this for about 5 minutes, you want to stop, take a break, turn the car off, or just continue to drive, and then come back and do it again, because you'll realize if you don't have good practice on this, it'll be like starting over all over again. So I'm going to kill this for a second. Now you might ask, what's the purpose of trying to do this? Well, the thing is, it's about getting comfortable with pedal placement, it's about getting comfortable with brake pressure, and your ability to come over and control that throttle blip. And where this can benefit you in a normal car is it gives you more precision with your right foot on how much throttle, how much acceleration force, and how much brake force that your right foot is capable of. So it gives you a little bit more edge in terms of driving feel and precision. Now, one of the reasons I constantly talk about modern cars and all the electronics is everything's gone to drive-by-wire. This car is drive-by-wire. There's no cable for the throttle pedal. So it is basically a table, a throttle table, with a linearity chart that can kind of basically simulate 0 to 100%. And every car has that throttle pedal calibrated slightly different. So in this car, you know, if I push it down, what I feel is 25%. Sometimes cars might be 35% digitally. If you have a car that has a sport mode or a sport plus or one of the 20 other different drive modes, normally in normal mode it might be more linear. So 25% force with your foot kind of matches up to 25% throttle. But when you go into sport mode or sport plus, it might take that 25% that's real and amplify it to like 40 or 50%. It gives you that false sense of quickened or faster throttle. And that makes it more difficult to practice this. And again, that's the difficulty with this. Every car is slightly different. So when you practice this, I would say just do it if you have a car with different drive modes. Just do it in normal or eco mode where the throttle is a little less sensitive. When you start ramping it up and you practice this, you can go from normal mode and then sport plus and do the same thing, and you'll see the revs go way higher. And that's one of the things about practicing this, so you can get good at it in any car. Now, if you're somebody that can already do this and you do it all the time, this video probably won't be all that helpful to you. But what would be helpful is if you commented below to kind of help people with your own individual technique, or if you have links for more information. This is just the way that I do it, so use it at your own risk, and of course, be safe. The next step would be to take the car out on the road and rev match downshift without the brake. And this can be used in pretty much any environment if you're comfortable with it. Every time you downshift, practice rev matching, using the throttle to match those revs every time you downshift. So let's take a look at that. Now the next thing you can start to practice is rev match downshifts without the brake. And this is a really easy way to start on the street. So you get the car going. All right, you get it up to speed, and then I want to downshift to third. So what I'm going to do is clutch in and rev the gas. So to fourth, let's do that again, from fourth to third. That way your downshifts are smooth, you don't feel the jerking. Now if I downshift into third without revving the gas, I'll show you what it looks like. There's that lurch, there's that unsmoothness. Now if I try to do the same thing from fourth to third and I give it too much gas, you'll hear what it sounds like. It goes too high and it causes a lurch the opposite way, so you want to find that balance. And I think with this car it's a little extreme, but with a normal car you're not going to hear that as much. But the goal is not to be perfect, it's to make it feel smooth, and only you can feel what smooth is. So you want to get that throttle blip as consistent as possible. So we'll do this a couple more times here. Fourth to third. To third, third to second, third to second, third to second, once master that, the throttle blip, then you can start to bring in the brake. But I would not bring in the brake until you're really comfortable just rev matching downshifts without the brake. Otherwise, you know, it's going to be very, very jarring at first and kind of scary, and it's something you definitely, regardless, don't want to do in traffic. You want to do this in a wide open space. So I'm going to show you what it's like to go at a lower speed from third down in a second using the brake. Do that again, coming up to the stop. And this is stuff you can do just coming up to a stop sign or a light. And again, it's not about being perfect, it's about getting good with your feet or your foot to get smoothness, consistency. You might not perfectly rev match, and there might be just a slight jar or G-force shock to you when you're driving, but the more you do it, like anything you practice, the smoother it's going to be. And pretty soon you're going to be doing that pretty much every time you come to a stop if you're in a higher gear. Let's get a little bit more going here. We'll go fourth to third to second. Brakes, third, second. Typically you never do this in first unless maybe you're in an autocross, but I never do. Again, third, second, third, second. What you want to do is build up the speed. Obviously, you can combine just rev matching, throttle blipping, bringing in the brake, and the better you get at it, the quicker you'll be able to do it, coordinated with obviously the shifting with your right hand. And once you get all that work together, it's very satisfying, but it also feels very busy, and it might be overwhelming. So that's why I always say, and we talked about this when we did the Bondurant video, go back to the basics. Start slower, smaller. Don't stress yourself out, and don't put yourself in a position that you could potentially hurt yourself or somebody else. Let's do one more exercise combining all this so you can see what it looks like. We're going to go into fifth. So you're going to get some pace going. Going to go down into fourth, just rev matching. And then brakes. Back up. So braking into third. Second. Back up. Down into third. Down into second. Into a turn. Second. Turn. Commit. Up. The fourth. Then rev match to third. Rev matched in a second. And that's kind of what practice is going to look like to you. And you can do this on a lot of normal roads without breaking the law, obviously without pissing a lot of people off, assuming you're not doing it in traffic. And this is how you're going to build up confidence to build up speed. Obviously, start slow, build yourself up until you can do it faster and faster and safely. Now, like I said at the beginning of the video, try to be consistent. Keep it simple, like we talked about in the Bondurant video. You want to have the same car, the car you're comfortable with, and learn on that and get consistent with that before you start jumping around to other cars or changing settings. Just work on the basics and work your way up until you're comfortable, and it'll be way more enjoyable. The frustration level will go from here and drop off slowly the better you get at it. And you'll notice specifically with a manual transmission car, people ask, well, why would you want to deal with that? Why would you want to do all that work? Well, the point is it's just more engaging. Once you don't have to think about what you're doing, where it becomes muscle memory, it's no different than tying your shoe. You don't think about tying your shoe unless you don't know how to do that, or simple things like that that might seem complicated at first. It really isn't. And that's what this is all about, learning about these things, improving your driving skill, and hopefully allowing you to enjoy the car that you already have. So thanks for watching this video. We'll get on to more in this series as time goes on.
This savage geese, I hate him, I hate him. I'm gonna show you how to get back at him on Yelp and all that other stuff.